Okay, let us start then. The Ratana Sutta. Okay, so anybody who doesn't have the Ratana Sutta online in your phone or copy, you can actually search it, Ratana Sutta. Okay, but I'm going to put up slides of the whole sutta. We're going to recite together. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. The Ratana Sutta. The city of Vesali was afflicted by a famine, causing death, especially to the poor folk. Due to the presence of decaying corpses, the evil spirits began to haunt the city. This was followed by a pestilence. Plagued by these three fears of famine, non-human beings, and pestilence, the citizens sought the help of the Buddha, who was then living at Rajagaha. Followed by a large number of monks, including the Venerable Ananda, his attendant disciple, the Buddha came to the city of Vesali. With the arrival of the Master, there were torrential rains which swept away the petrifying corpses. The atmosphere became purified. The city was clean. Thereupon, the Buddha delivered this jewel discourse, Ratana Sutta, to the Venerable Ananda, and gave him instructions as to how he should tour the city with the Lichavi citizens, reciting the discourse as a mark of protection to the people of Vesali. The Venerable Ananda followed the instructions and sprinkled the sanctified water from the Buddha's own alms bowl. As a consequence, the evil spirits were exorcised, the pestilence subsided. Thereafter, the Venerable Ananda returned with the citizens of Vesali to the public hall where the Buddha and his disciples had assembled awaiting his arrival. There, the Buddha recited the same jewel discourse to the gathering. Whatever beings, non-humans, are assembled here, terrestrial or celestial, may they all have peace of mind, and may they listen attentively to these words. O beings, listen closely. May you all radiate loving kindness to those human beings who, by day and night, bring offerings to you, offer merit to you. Wherefore, protect them with the diligence. Whatever treasure would there be either here or in the world beyond, whatever precious jewel there be in the heavenly worlds, there is none comparable with the Tathagata, the Perfect One. This precious jewel is in the Buddha. By this asseveration of the truth, may there be happiness. This cessation, that detachment, that deathlessness, Nibbana supreme, the calm and collected Sanya sage, the Buddha, had realized. There is not comparable to this Nibbana Dhamma. This precious jewel is the Dhamma. By this asseveration of the truth, may there be happiness. 4 ways of describing the Nibbana. The Supreme Buddha extolled a path of purity, the Noble Eightfold Path, calling it the path which unfailingly brings concentration. There is naught comparable to this concentration. This precious jewel is the Dhamma. By this asseveration of the truth, may there be happiness. The 8 persons extolled by virtuous men constitute 4 pairs. They are the disciples of the Buddha and are worthy of offerings. Gifts given to them yield rich results. This precious jewel is the Sangha. By this asseveration of the truth, may there be happiness. With a steadfast mind and applying themselves well in the dispensation of the Buddha Gautama, free from defilements, they have attained to that which should be attained, arahatship, encountering the deathless. They enjoy the peace of Nibbana freely obtained. This precious jewel is the Sangha. By this asseveration of the truth, may there be happiness. As a post deep planted in the earth stands unshaken by the winds from the four quarters, so too I declare is the righteous man who comprehends with wisdom the noble truths. This precious jewel is the Sangha. By this asseveration of the truth may there be happiness. Those who realize the noble truths well taught by him who is profound in wisdom, the Buddha, even though they may be exceedingly heedless, they will not take an existence in the realm of sense spheres. This precious jewel is the Sangha. By this asseveration of the truth may there be happiness. With his gaining of insight, he abandons three states of mind, namely self-illusion, doubt, and indulgence in meaningless rites and rituals, should there be any. He is also fully freed from the four states of woe, and therefore incapable of committing the 6 major wrongdoings. This precious jewel is the Sangha. By this asseveration of the truth may there be happiness. Any evil action he may still do by deed, word, or thought, he is incapable of concealing it, since it has been proclaimed that such concealing is impossible for one who has seen the path of Nibbana. This precious jewel is the Sangha. By this asseveration of the truth may there be happiness. As the woodland groves, though in the early heat of the summer month, are crowned with blossoming flowers, even so is the sublime Dharma leading to the calm of Nibbana, which is taught by the Buddha for the highest good. This precious jewel is the Buddha. By this asseveration of the truth may there be happiness. The peerless, excellent one, the Buddha, the knower of Nibbana, the giver of Nibbana, the bringer of the noble path, taught the excellent Dharma. This precious jewel is the Buddha. By this asseveration of the truth may there be happiness. Their past karma is spent, their new karma no more arises. Their mind to future becoming is unattached. Their germ of rebirth consciousness has died. They have no more desire for reliving. Those white men fade out of existence as the flame of this lamp which has just faded away. This precious jewel is the Sangha. By this asseveration of the truth may there be happiness. Whatever beings non-human are assembled here, terrestrial or celestial, come, let us salute the Buddha, the Tathagata, the Perfect One. Honored by gods and men, may there be happiness. Whatever beings are assembled here, terrestrial or celestial, come, let us salute the perfect Dharma. Honored by gods and men, may there be happiness. Whatever beings are assembled here, terrestrial or celestial, come, let us salute the perfect Sangha. Honored by gods and men, may there be happiness. The Ratana Sutta, so-called the Jewel Discourse. So we remember the word Ratana means jewel or gem. And Sutta means discourse or teaching. So we actually have done verse 1, 2, and 3 last week. So I went back because somebody asked questions about first verse, whatever beings are assembled here, terrestrial or celestial, may they all have peace of mind and may they listen attentively to these words. He asked a question that whatever beings, because I said these beings are celestial beings or terrestrial beings, but excluding human beings. So he asked a question, really is excluded the human beings? And I went back to check commentaries, and that's what all the commentaries actually said about this verse in Pali. It actually really meant the terrestrial non-human beings. And celestial, of course, they are heavenly beings. Of course, they are non-human beings. So, that was correct. Okay. So he asked the question last week, and that's what I said at that time. But I just want to reassure you that the commentaries actually verify this point. And as I said last week, this sutta actually was taught to the human beings. And why did the sutta started off by inviting the celestial beings or every non-human terrestrial beings to come here to listen to the sutta? What do you think? Anybody have a... Yes, Paul?
Even though some may not be able to practice, at least they can hear.
At least they can hear.
At the start.
That's good. Paul said that even though some may not be able to practice, at least they can hear. They can hear the Dharma. Okay, anybody else? Ever? You set up like that, I thought you have some answer to offer.
Versha's arm go up.
Oh, Versha, you... Okay, unmute her then.
Can I?
Yes, please.
I'm perhaps incorrect about this, but my understanding was it was an invitation to come and listen and protect human beings.
Yes. Come and protect and have compassion for them, right? So when we actually, if we read through and we actually really paying attention when we read, you can actually see from the last three verses, verses 15 all the way to the 17, whatever beings are assembled here, terrestrial or celestial, come, let us salute the Buddha, the Tathagata, honored by gods and men, may there be happiness. That tells you all those terrestrial or celestial non-beings who have actually come and listened to this sutta, after listening to the teaching, they appreciated the teaching so much that actually they said, we have to salute to the Buddha, we have to salute to the Dharma, we have to salute to the Sangha, because we honor them, and because we honor them, we are connected to the gems of the Buddha and the Dharma and the Sangha, and we can actually dedicate these wishes to all human beings on earth. May they be happy, may they be safe, and may they be secure. Okay? So I wish I have clarified question that was raised at the end of the session last week by bringing this out and verified that's what the commentary actually was talking about. All right. So verse 4, let us come to verse 4. It said that cessation, that detachment, that deathlessness. Deathlessness, we all know, is actually an English word to represent Nibbana. And it is supreme, the calm and collected Sakya sage, that means the Buddha, because the Buddha was born into the tribe of Sakya, right? And that's what he has realized, okay? So this verse, actually, you can see the last two verses actually talk about the Buddha, the gem in the Buddha. And starting with this verse, it talks about the Dhamma, or the gem, or the jewel in the Dhamma. And we realize when we hear the word of Dhamma, we always have an idea. The Dhamma is the teachings of the Buddha. But don't be mistaken by these words of teachings of the Buddha. You always have to go back and ask yourself, when you read the word Dhamma, you always have to go back and remind yourself, it's not the teachings of the Buddha. is really what the Buddha taught. It's really what he taught. He taught about the truth of existence. And if we always think, oh, just the teachings of the Buddha, it becomes mere words. What is so important about mere words to our existence, to our understanding of our own existence? Mere words doesn't mean anything. These are just mere words. If we don't understand and we cannot actually correlate it to our own existence, and we cannot understand the Dharma in our own existence, the Dharma in our own relationship, the Dharma in our own thoughts, then that's useless. Those are just mere words. So remember, the word Dharma really means the truth. The truth. Whether the Buddha was here or not, whether he has taught or not, Dharma is always there. And it is Dharma that actually the Buddha relied upon to attain his enlightenment. Or it is the Dharma that the Buddha realized in his enlightenment. Okay? So be very, very mindful about the word of Dharma. So, and it's here, it says actually, the Dharma is in this English translation, or in actually in this English translation, it says, by this, this precious jewel is the Buddha. But in other translation, or when you actually go back to look at the Pali terms, it says that this precious jewel is in the Dhamma. It's not the Dhamma, it's in the Dhamma. So it is not the bread, but it is in the bread. So there is a big difference there, right? So the jewel, the Dhamma is not equal to the jewel. The Dhamma, the jewel is in the Dhamma. It's just like the wonderful taste is in the bread. So the wonderful taste doesn't equal to the bread. Got it? Everybody? Good. So we have to be very mindful of this, all right? So the Buddha was born into the tribe, and because of his enlightenment, he was addressed as a second sage. So he was a saint in that tribe. And the cessation, the detachment, cessation of what? The detachment of what? Cessation of what? Answers. Defilements, okay. Varsha, these are popular students.
Oh, I think Ma has his hand up.
Ma, okay. Where's Ma? Ma, yeah.
I'm guessing cessation of suffering.
Cessations of suffering, dukkha. Good. 100 marks, Ma. Good. Okay, so the cessations of sufferings and the detachment of self. Yeah, the ego. Yeah. And deathlessness. That means Same back. Deathlessness. No arising, no passing. It's the Buddha nature. No arising, no passing. No taint, no pure. Yeah? Deathlessness. So, the calm and collected, that's what he has realized. So, there is not comparable to this Dharma. There's nothing that is comparable. So, we are practicing the Dharma. We are practicing the Dharma. Then, what is the ultimate aim of practicing the Dharma? The ultimate aim is we want to achieve that state of deathlessness, isn't it? Don't you want to be out of this samsara? Don't we want to find an exit out of this cyclic existence and never be suffering again? Right? So that the first thing is we have an intention of wanting to be free from the samsara. That means we are not tied by all these conditions arising anymore. And the second thing is, in order to achieve this, which path we have to adopt? Which path? The Noble Eightfold Path. Very good, okay? So the Buddha actually realized this. He attained this. He attained this, and he saw this. He saw this is the gem in the Dharma. And because of this gem, because of realizing this gem, we will be able to actually, realizing and connecting, we'll be able to channel into that kind of mindset, hopefully, and one day we'll be totally free. So I want to actually show you the Pali terms of this line. It says that this precious jewel is the Dhamma in the verse 4. So this is the Pali term, Idampi dhamme ratanan panitam. So how we look at it is Idampi ratanan. So it means this jewel. Okay? Dhamme, that means Dhamma. And panitam, that means is very auspicious, is very precious. So it says in here, Dhamme, that means in the Dhamma, in this Dhamma. In this Dhamma, there is this precious jewel. Okay? So, Idamme ratanam, that means this precious jewel. Dhamme, that means in the Dhamma. And panitam, that means like auspicious, precious, gemmy, jewelry. Okay? So it actually verifies, I think, the other translation. The precious jewel is in the Dhamma is more appropriate than just this precious jewel is the Dhamma. Right? The taste, the good taste doesn't equal to this bread. But the good taste is in the bread. That's why the bread is good. Right? It sounds a little bit more appropriate. Otherwise, when I look at it, if the precious jewel is the Dhamma, then we all want to become this particular Dhamma. But then we will we will just say, oh, I want to become that. But how are you going to become that? How are you going to cultivate that inner quality? It's an inner quality of Dharma. It's the inner quality of Buddha. It's the inner quality of Sangha. Okay? So, idampi dhamme ratanans panitang. So it's the same for Buddha and the Sangha. It just changed the word. Idamme buddhang ratanam panitam. Or idamme sanghang but ratanam panitam. Okay? So you just change the Dhammi word to buddhang or sanghang. Not Buddha. Not Buddha. It's buddhang. So that's why it's in. It's in the Dhamma. It's in the Buddha. Okay? All right. So, by this asseveration of the truth, may there be happiness. So, happiness is actually, I think, undermined the Pali word. Is it clear? Okay. Undermine the Pali word, and actually the Pali word means more, especially according to a Bhikkhu Buddhist translation, he says, it actually represents safety, security, and peace. And this actually very appropriate for the people in Vesali, because they are not safe. Because they are not secure, and they are not peaceful, and let alone happiness, right? So that safety, security, and peace is actually naturally will bring happiness. But these are the prerequisites to be happy. It's feeling safe and feeling secure, right? So in the midst of COVID-19, how many of you are feeling fearful? Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so when you feel fearful, you don't feel safe. You don't feel secure, right? So that actually, I think this translation is more appropriate, is be safe, be secure, and be peaceful. And naturally, you will be happy. And you don't need to be, intentionally go and seek for happiness. All right? So, it says here 4 ways of describing the Nibbana. Which 4 ways of describing the Nibbana? Which 4 ways? It says here, the cessation, the detachment, right? The deathlessness. So the deathlessness, that means the really we are completely free from earth, from death, and excellence. And excellence supreme, it says supreme, Nibbana supreme. That supreme is so good that it is considered inexhaustible. And this reality about Nibbana, the Nibbana doesn't come into being and doesn't go into extinction. It's always there. The state of Nibbana is always there in this universe. So it doesn't arise, it doesn't pass away, but it needs to be attained. Okay, so during the Buddha's time, if you have read some of the stories in Dhammapada, because I'm teaching Dhammapada to the Chinese population, to the Cantonese on Wednesday. So a lot of times you say, okay, the Buddha taught this simple teaching to people, and people just get realized and and attained arahantship or sotapanna or whatever. And you think, how come it's so easy for them to attain arahantship? And so there you go, arahant. There you go, sotapanna. There you go, anagami. How come it's so easy for them? Why is it so easy for them? Because in those days, in the Buddha's time, distraction, disruption, anger, craving, it's still there. But a lot of people are trying to attain nibbana, are trying to attain enlightenment. I think their spirituality is way much higher than ours nowadays. And their distraction is was way much less than ours nowadays. That's why they can become enlightened so fast, so soon. And even, the hardest core who have actually, the hardest person who have actually committed such a crime, killing 999 people. Who is that person? Angulimala, right? Even Angulimala, just by listening to the Buddha's teachings, just like that, and all what he has learned from his teacher, he can actually let it go right away and just listen to the Buddha's teachings and attained enlightenment just right there. Because in those days, everybody is trying to actually attain a certain state of a spirituality. So when the Buddha actually attained that, he was so compassionate, he actually decided to come and teach us. So that's why it's such a wonderful jewel. And this Dharma actually allowed the Buddha to become enlightened and to become totally free from all sufferings. And this jewel there is nothing that can be compared to this jewel in the Dhamma. And when by this last sentence, by this asseveration of the truth, may there be happiness or safety, security, and peace. When someone recites this, the Buddha said, when someone recites this, someone actually takes the jewel which is in the Dhamma to their heart, and by this truth, may they realize this truth, may they realize this jewel, may there be safety. So there is the vow that comes with this recitation. There is a vow that comes with this faith in this jewel of the Dhamma. Do we have that vow? Do we have that vow when we recite this? Or do we just do it like, oh, well, this is homework that Sifu has given me 2 weeks ago, asking me every day just circumambulate around my house and then read this. So I will listen to Sifu's words and I'll do this. I haven't done this myself. I did not circumambulate around my place every day to read this sutta, but I asked you to. Why? Why did I ask you to do this? Maria. Oh, just Maria.
I think there's 2 reasons why we're asked to do it. One is so that the more you recite it, the more each time you recite it, you understand it better.
Good.
One is it's a protection for the area that we live in, the people that we live in.
Yeah.
Our neighborhood.
Yeah, your neighborhood. Yeah, because did Marla put up her hand? Yeah, Can you unmute Marla, please? There you go. Marla.
I think as well, it is to help erase the collective karma if people are deaf and unskillful and unwholesome. At least help by asking for protection, just like the previous person said.
Okay, good. Okay. So really, I ask you to recite is, as Maria said, I want you to read it and understand this. And remember, that's what the Buddha wanted us to know is, don't just believe in this tradition. Don't just believe because the Buddha said so. Don't just believe because the tradition says so. Don't just believe because it's passed down by oral tradition. Read it and understand it. And when you understand it and you take this truth to your heart, and naturally, and I don't want to use the word spontaneously, but naturally and there should be really you, because then when you take this to the heart and you at that moment you're connected to all these terrestrial and celestial beings who have such traits, compassion, wisdom, or even bodhisattvas, and then there at that moment right there you actually created protection. Okay? Created protection for yourself and for everybody around you. Because I'm sure if people are reciting this, they are not so selfish as just to protect themselves. They want to protect others too. Right? So this is the Dhamma. So the next one, we look at the next one. He said, the Supreme Buddha extolled a path of purity, the Noble Eightfold Path, calling it the path which unfailingly brings concentration. So this is still talking about the jewel in the Dhamma, but it's talk about the path. Remember what I said just now? There are two things why do we need to practice, or two aims, right? So this is the second one, is we walk on this path, the Noble Eightfold Path, and calling it a path which unfailingly brings concentration. Why would the Noble Eightfold Path unfailingly brings concentration?
You have to practice the meditation experience, which automatically will develop the concentration of understanding.
That's good. Yeah, that's what Paul said. You have to practice the meditation. And in order to develop the concentration, that is required. That is required for liberation. Okay, so which is one of the 8 factors in this Noble Eightfold Path? Which one? Mali. There you go. Samadhi, that's concentration. But what about before that? Samasati. Good. Samasati. Samasati, you develop in samasati. And when the samasati is continuously building up, you become stronger awareness, stronger mindfulness, and longer continuous, then you go into a state of concentration. So when the concentration is developed with a genuine heart for liberation, we have to have that vow, we have to have that heart for liberation, then definitely it will bring a fruit, right? That definitely you will bring a fruit. And that concentration is not a very simple concentration, not a simple normal concentration that people develop, like shooting or walking on wires, acrobats, or shooting or whatever. That concentration is a supra-mundane concentration. Okay, and we can call that concentration you can use the word jhana. Yeah, jhana, like meditative states. So this concentration is one very, very important part in this Eightfold Noble Path. And this Samma Samadhi is really, as I said, is a supramundane concentration. And the Eightfold Noble Path that we are practicing right now is really not that supramundane yet, okay? Because a lot of us haven't reached that state of jhana, yeah? And once you reach that state of jhana, you start to see the unconditioned behind the conditioned. Then it becomes really a supramundane concentration, Samma Samadhi. So we are building up Samadhi yet. We are building up Samadhi, but not really yet quite Samma Samadhi, the supramundane Samma Samadhi. Because with Samma Samadhi, the real supramundane Samma Samadhi, you will start to really understand the five aggregates very clearly. You start to see the five aggregates very clearly. Now we are actually seeing what? We are seeing sensations. We are observing sensations. We are seeing the sensations coming and going and dissolving. That's all. We still haven't actually reached to see how this consciousness arises and how this consciousness is affecting the perception and the sankhara and all that. So keep trying. Okay. So that breakthrough, we really need to have that breakthrough from this conditioned into the unconditioned. Then that will be a breakthrough. Okay? And that breakthrough doesn't come from wishes. It comes from concentration. Really. The really deep, deep concentration. Okay? And when you bring on such deep meditative states, they're bound to have a fruit. And when the fruit actually comes when you start to penetrate through from this conditioned into the unconditioned. And when you start to penetrate through, certain defilements are being cut off, being severed. Okay? So, and that's why it says here, there is no concentration. There is no other concentration that can be compared to this kind of concentration. That means the concentration that you developed through practicing on this noble path. Okay? And he says, this precious jewel is in the Dharma. What does it mean by this precious jewel is in the Dharma? This means this concentration, this Samma Samadhi is in the Dharma. And we need this deep, deep concentration to really penetrate, to see through that Dharma. Otherwise, we are just merely on the surface and knowing the surface, not really knowing the deep, deep truth. So he said, by this asseveration of the truth, may there be happiness, or safety, security, and peace. So, because there is no concentration comparable to this concentration, and that's why when we recite this verse, when we actually take this jewel into our heart and understanding this and knowing this and have faith in this, he said, by this truth, may there be happiness. By realizing this truth in the Dharma, may we channel our heart into the universe. And may we connect our heart with those in this universe. And because of this auspicious blessings arise, and we can share all these merits. May there be safety, may there be security, may there be peace. This is sharing of merits. This is dedications of merits. All right? It's heavy. It's a very, very, it looks like very simple sutta, but it carries a very, very deep meaning behind it. And I, I see this when I read this through, just now when I was talking about this, I remember what the Buddha taught in the Mangala Sutta, the Mahamangala Sutta, is learning the Dharma timely. Remember that? Remember that? And why you need to learn the Dharma in a timely way? Why?
Without the experience, you won't understand.
Yeah, okay, good. Without the experience, you won't understand.
It's like growing something.
Growing.
There's only this one season where it's going to sprout, and if you miss all of those chances along the way to cultivate it, then
that's it.
One moment that it can bloom.
Yes, there's the whatever said that Paul said that you have to experience it, and then Ever said you just like growing things. There is only one season that you can actually plant such seeds, and if you miss that season, that's it. So learn the Dhamma timely, and so this is the timely opportunity to learn this Dhamma at this time. It's just right, just the right time. Not sooner, not later. Later on, you say, oh, well, we're past that. Sooner, we haven't got there yet. We're not there. We don't have any pestilence. We don't have any evil beings. We don't have any famine. Why do we bother? Right? But now we have pestilence. Right? We have pestilence. And some places may have evil because dead bodies are everywhere. They cannot cremate, they cannot bury on time. Okay, so I think I'm going to end this tonight, just studying 2 verses because I have questions from overseas, right? From Hong Kong. Somebody wrote a message and saying that it should be today, probably, or yesterday, today. Today is the birthday of her deceased husband. Her husband passed away 1 year ago, and at the same time, well, not at the same time, in the same year, her father died too, right? Yeah, okay. So she has this message, and what was the question?
Yesterday she woke up and got some not feeling good emotion.
Okay.
And she practiced 45 minutes
of metta, okay. She practiced 45 minutes of metta because she woke up feeling emotional, and so she went to practice 45 minutes of metta, and she wanted me to talk about this. So, death. The Buddha has said, we are, as human beings, there are 3 things that we are constantly worried about. Which is? Aging. Sickness. The last one is, you and me will certainly die. It's not a curse, but it's a certainty, okay? So, 3 things human beings are very, very scared of, constantly worry about: aging, sickness, and death. So death has come into your life. This student in Hong Kong, 2 deaths in 1 year is a big thing to deal with. And especially at the time of special dates, like birthdays, anniversaries, festive days like Christmas or like Chinese New Year, or the winter solstice, 冬季, or whatever festive days, it will be difficult. And it bounds to be difficult. And it's just normal to be difficult. Because on festive days or on special days, why are they special? Because you share it with your families. Festive day, why is it festive? Because you share with families, you share with the communities, you share as a nation. You share as in the world, as a world, like Christmas things. Okay? So it's special because you are sharing it with people. So when you lost 2 very dear ones in life in 1 year, on this special day, you're bound to become emotional. And it's just very normal. And it is a way to grieve. And it's not wrong to be emotional. And it's not wrong to grieve. And it is actually very proper and very good to be emotional, because that's when then you are actually dealing with the grief. But one thing is, as practitioner, one thing we can do during these difficult times is we become aware of this difficulty. What does it do to my body? It's difficult to observe the mind because the emotions could be overpowering, could be very overwhelming, so you can easily be swept away by it. It's like a tsunami, like a storm. You can easily be swept away. So come back to this physical body. Come back to this breath. And feel, how does your breath change when that emotion arises? And stay with the breath as much as you can, even using deep breath. And if you are using the bodily sensations, stay with the bodily sensations and see when that emotion comes, how does it affect your body? And then when at every moment that you become aware in this body, in this breath, that moment you are actually dealing with that emotions indirectly. And the more moments you are able to become aware, then you are actually building up that strength to deal with whatever that you have to deal with. Okay? So you remember to go to do 45 minutes of metta. That's good, but I prefer you to do less minutes of metta. I prefer you to do more minutes of mindfulness. And then at the end, when the mind calms down, you do a metta. That's way much stronger. Then when you are so emotional, you do metta, you are actually sharing your emotions. you're really not sharing the loving kindness. Because at that time, your mind is like this. So you're wobbly, and you are sharing wobblies. It's okay. Take deep breath if you are very emotional. Take deep breath. Take deep, deep breath. And observe when that emotion brings on sensations or brings on the path, on the breath, your tears rolling down the face. Go to feel the warmth, go to feel the wetness, and take deep breath and allow yourself to embrace these emotions. Don't push it away. Don't push it away. Address, embrace it, take it in, accept it. And also at the end of the mindfulness, when you share the metta, remember the one that have passed. Remember them with a smiling face. Remember their brightness. Remember what they have brought you. What happiness that they have brought you. And that happiness always stay in your mind. Let me share one line that I love from a movie, which I always use this to teach end-of-life care, end-of-life workshops. Death doesn't end. Death only ends a physical body. It doesn't end a relationship. It's a beautiful line. And I want, all of you to remember this line so that whenever we have some precious, whether things or people that actually disappear from our life, we remember it doesn't end that relationship because the relationship is in the heart, mind. And if we think that we have lost it, then we really have lost it. If we think that it is still in our mind, then we haven't lost it. Right? So, okay? All right? Any questions? Anybody want to share something? Or Sandra has something to say. Just a minute, Sandra. There you go.
Oh, I'm unmuted. Okay. I'm very struck by that story because I lost both my siblings 3 months apart.
Yes.
And then more recently I lost my mother.
Yes.
And I came to another Buddhist practitioner at one point that I feel them with me.
Yes.
And my mother, so last night I even heard my mother call my name.
Okay.
And what this Buddhist practitioner told me is that this was not a good thing because I was keeping them attached and not letting them move on. By being aware of them.
Okay.
And I thought, well, then how do you not grieve?
Exactly. That's why this Buddha says different things.
Oh, that's what I'm wondering, yes.
That's why this Buddha says different things.
Yeah.
We have to grieve because we are human beings. And we have to grieve. And we have to know how to grieve. Not crazily, but with the Dharma. That's the real grief. That's the real mourning. Not crying and not sulking and not emotionally too upset. But take it to the heart is understand that death is inevitable. And realize that, holding them dear to our heart is not an attachment. It's an appreciation of their existence. The gratitude that they have provided us with such love when they were here with us. That's appreciation, and that gratitude allows you to really say, okay, please go to a bright place, because now you have fulfilled your life in as a human being. Now it's time for you to go to a bright place. I will carry this gratitude in me because you have given me such happy moments in life. And that is a wonderful way to grieve. We need to grieve, Sandra. We are not super beings. And if you say, oh, well, no, you cannot grieve. That's what people told me when I lost my mom 34 years ago. And they said, you cannot cry. You should not cry. Because once you cry, then they won't go away. They won't take rebirth. So I did not cry. I try not to cry. I cry, but I try not to cry so much. And then I thought I dealt with it. Only when I started to really indulge in deep meditation, that deep grief arose 20 years later. 20 years, I had a delayed grief. So when you grieve now, it's just 1 year or half a year or 3 months, that's great. You are dealing with it. Don't let it sink into the deep part of the mind. It takes eons. It takes eons to arise again. Sorry, Sandra.
I did have some counseling, grief and loss counseling.
Yeah.
During all of these times.
Yeah.
What was worrying me more was was I holding, my mother in particular, was I holding her back? Because the last thing I said to her is, we can't be separated.
Aye. Well, you at that time you did not understand.
No, that's right, yeah.
Yeah. Now you understand, and you can easily let go.
Right.
And let go of that guilt too.
Yeah.
Okay? Don't shoot yourself with the second dart.
Oh, guilty as charged.
The first dart we always carry, life, aging, sickness, death. Okay, that is the first dart. That's bound to have sufferings. The second dart is the reaction to the first dart. You see, your mom died. That is the first dart. Sufferings come because that is grief. That there is separation. There is not getting what you wanted, right? That causes sufferings already. But on top of that, because you said we cannot be separated, but she still went away, and you felt guilty of holding her. That's the second dart that you actually punch yourself with. You see? So let go of that guilt and remember that ignorance at that time. Oh, I was so ignorant. Now I'm smarter. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good, yeah.
Good. All right. Any more? Good. All good? So you all understand, right? Great. Clever students. Clever. Smart students. Okay, now then. All right, then let us dedicate our merits. May these blessings extend to all, that we with all the other living beings together will attain the Buddha way. May we wish more and more people will encounter the words of the Buddha, study them, practice them, experience them, so that they can liberate themselves from their own entanglements and be truly, ultimately free, happy, and peaceful.